Hello, everybody. Welcome. My name is Paul, and this is the Real Life Health Show. And I was on a few minutes ago, and when I was on a few minutes ago, I was actually outside, and I couldn't see the comments because I didn't have the two screens here. So I'm back here, and for those of you that were watching, please repost your comments, and I'll address them when it comes to health. And I was discussing the important things we should be doing with our health, and there's three things we should be focusing on. The three pillars of health have to be diet, exercise, and sleep. And everything we do around those things are going to affect those three things when it comes to overcoming disease and curing disease. And well, there's really no cure for disease, or I could say managing disease. We don't want to manage disease. We want to just do the things that are going to avoid disease, as I was saying. And I hope people get it because there's a lot of confusion out there. Folks, the answer doesn't come in a bottle. Mathematics has a system, so to say. Mathematics has a way of coming up with an answer that you can only come up with one. There's several different ways, but there's only one answer, right? Well, there might be subtle ways of how we're going to avoid disease, but there's only one formula, and it's the formula for health or the formula for life that I teach. And that formula basically is health minus disease equals vitality, and or power minus obstruction equals vitality. And that's the formula for health we want to do. And so as I discuss this and we'll discuss these things, I want people to understand this. You see a bottle there, right there. Uh, you know, it's called a supplement for a reason because it's supposed to supplement something. It's supposed to supplement your your foundation. It's not supposed to become the foundation. And when we think about today, the way people live and rely so much on a bottle or a doctor or a prescription to survive, so that's what people with a disease do. They rely on a prescription to survive. And it's a terrible way to live. You don't need a prescription to survive. You need to survive to survive. You need to live the right way so you don't have to go to a doctor and deal with these things. And people treat a doctor like a friend or something. It's like, oh, I gotta go see my doctor. I haven't seen my doctor in too long. I gotta go see they become so reliant. What do they call it? Self-independent or self-dependent on a doctor. Even if they're feeling okay, they got to go to the doctor. But when they're not feeling okay, instead of eliminating what's causing a problem, they got to run to the doctor and get there. And I'm doing this live video as a continuation to the previous one. So if you haven't seen this, please go look at that. And if you have a comment or a question, post it because I want to engage with my audience from a live standpoint and just get on here and try to help people understand the way through this health maze that people are experiencing these days. And as me, somebody who was sick and diseased at a young age, I didn't know the answers. I didn't grow up with the book of how to live my life and be healthy. Thanks to all of the information out there, which can seem confusing because there's so much different information, the answer is now there. And as I was saying earlier, there's no such thing as a cure. Doctors are managing diseases. Medications and drugs are managing the diseases. The only way not to have the disease is to stop doing the things that are creating it. So if you're doing something that's not working, and I use the example of being on a diet, let's say you want to lose weight. So the answer is don't eat so much. Don't eat so late and eat different foods. So you stop eating so much, you stop eating so late, and you stop eating the foods that you're eating that are contributing to your your overweightness, and then you lose the weight. Well, how do you keep the weight off? You keep doing the things that helped you lose the weight. If you go back to eating the way you were eating, guess what? The weight's going to come back. But people today want some answer in a bottle. And it might take a while. And I use that example with weight, but you could use that same example with disease. You know, a doctor will say, "Oh, I'm going to give you a drug for some disease." Or people say, "I'll give you a drug for some weight." But, you know, stop doing what's creating the disease and the disease won't come back. Health is just a quite an interesting story. We've gotten so far away from nature and the way we should be living that creates healthy habits and healthy things for us to do. And then we look to add things to our lives to counteract it. So we don't suffer the way people suffer and from the way things are happening and the way people are suffering from. A couple of days ago, one of the people I've interviewed in the past from True North, Dr. Alan Goldheimer, who runs a fasting retreat, was a guest on one of the most popular podcasts in the world on YouTube, Diary of a CEO. And he was talking about these very simple things we can do to keep our bodies healthy, eating the right foods at the right times, in the right amounts, resting the body when it needs rest. But the key concept is, and just about everything is this, write this down, folks. Write this one down. The doctor doesn't heal the body. The drugs the doctor gives doesn't heal the body. What heals the body is the body. Food itself doesn't even heal the body. When I went to Hippocrates Health Institute, a world-class health spa where they help people overcome cancer and all other diseases, they told me clear out there, the food that we serve here does not heal the body. The body heals the body. And in all my research, going back to reading the Bible and everything else, God designed us with a body that heals itself. And all the experiments that you could see from the well-known to the unknown doctors with disease and everything else, they find you can keep organs and things alive if you keep it in a clean environment. And when the environment becomes toxic, that organ starts to lose its energy and eventually die or stop working or not working as well. It's about keeping it clean. And the food that we eat that's not designed for our bodies is like putting toxic waste or dirt in this clean environment, creating the problem. How can we keep our environment as clean as possible? And how can we make our body as healthy as possible to fight those things that get through? Let me put it this way. In our nostrils is hair. There's hair in our nostrils. Why would our Creator build us and create us to have hair in our nostrils? What is the significance of us having hair in our nostrils? Well, when we breathe, we're breathing in air often that is not perfectly clean. And there's little particles in that air that if they get in our body, the body is going to have to deal with them. And depending what those particles are, sometimes the body might have an easier time or a harder time dealing with them. But regardless, the body's going to have to deal with them. Those hairs in our nostrils were put there to keep the particles out of our body, kind of like uh, if you have a central air system in your house, you have a filter. If you take that filter out, that AC system is going to get messed up. And the hair in your nose, that filter. And the reason why I say this is we come along and then there's all these uh, advertisements and everything else for things that are going to make us look better. And people say feel better, but they don't really make us feel better. So somebody will come along and how to shave the nose in your hair. Or get rid of all the nose in your hair, and then they'll make these claims. It'll help you breathe better because you won't have nose in your hair, and it'll blah, blah, blah. And what you're really doing is you're going against the natural design of the body. And without knowing that that hair's for a reason or what the reason is, you're taking it away. Now, I might be using this example of nostril hair, and you might not have ever heard of an example like that, but we can use that same example for other parts of our body. We have hair on our arms for a reason. We have hair as men on our faces, as on our legs. Ladies, you have hair there for a reason. But the most common one is the underarms. There's hair there for a reason. And just because we don't know the reason doesn't mean it's okay to get rid of it. So if you trust the body that our Creator designed us with and nature, then you have to trust the food that He created and designed for us to eat. So let's look at that. What food did He design for us to eat? And how and when did He design for us to eat it? And also, when did He design us to be awake and to be asleep? And when did He design us to exercise? Excellent information. And as I got into this with something called natural hygiene, natural hygiene was learning to live as close to as I would as if I was in nature. And I'm not. I'm in the comfort of my own house, and sometimes I'm very thankful I am. When it's 100 degrees and raining outside, I'm very happy there's a roof over my head. In nature, I wouldn't have a roof over my head, but maybe I'd find a tree or some other sort of shelter from the rain and the heat. Is something else. Maybe I'll find shade instead of staying in the sun. But we have modern houses that are good and certain things that'll help us. But the more we get away from doing things we would in nature, the bigger the problem becomes. Now, when it comes to our diet, what gives the diet a bad name is people that experience not the ideal health, try to add things to their diet in a supplement form to supplement things. Sometimes those supplements become more important than the actual diet in people's lives. Now people are supplementing things, but they're not getting rid of the underlying cause. The bottom line is health doesn't begin with what we add, it begins with what we eliminate. Eliminated the things we already added that aren't natural for us and start living a healthy life. So, what I teach here at the Raw Life Health Show is the understanding of how our body works in tune with nature. And we can look at the way we were created and what we were created to do and eat, but we could also look at the times we eat. I have a book called The Daylight Diet that talks about eating at the right times. You know, the greatest thing we could do for healing, believe it or not, is not going to a doctor. It's stopping what's creating the issue that you want to heal from. Now, you might not know what that thing is, and here I am here to tell you. We were designed and created to heal when we're sleeping and resting. Our body was designed to exercise before we eat. Hence the example I gave, if we were in a forest, you know, even though I have fruit trees, I keep them quite low so I can easily pick the fruit. In the forest, the fruits grow on the trees that are really high up. Now, I'm not an advocate of eating animals, but if you're going to eat animals, you'd have to catch those animals. Point being is, you have to work for your food. Exercise, eat, and then take a break. While the sun's out, exercise and eat in that order. And then when the sun goes down, sleep. Now, people today do the opposite. They sleep during the day, then they get up at night, or pretty much they act like they're sleeping in the day. They're not moving. They're sitting at a desk all day. And when it comes nighttime, maybe they'll exercise. Or what they usually do is it backwards. They eat, eat, and eat. Some people will exercise. If you go to a gymnasium, nighttime's the most popular time there. And then they're not getting to sleep till almost the morning time. And if it wasn't for work to get people up, they'd probably be sleeping all day. People are doing it backwards. We need to exercise, eat, and sleep, not the other way around. And the times we need to do it goes according to the sun and the moon and the daylight and darkness. And I tell you this, in Genesis 1:29, the Bible it said the food for man is fruits and vegetables. And if our Creator wanted us to consume anything else, he would have told us. But he didn't. He said that is the food for man, fruits and vegetables. Now, he wanted us to eat it during the daytime hours. How do I know that? Well, if he wanted us to eat the food when it was dark outside, he would have made the fruits and vegetables glow in the dark. He didn't do that. He wants us to eat the food when it's light outside, not dark. We should be eating during the light. I have a book called The Daylight Diet, and the Daylight Diet is not in print anymore, but you can get the ebook at my website, rawlifehealthshow.com, and there's many videos online about that. So, in closing, if you have any comments or questions, please post them, but uh, I'll try to get back here because I want to make more videos focusing on those three things: eating, exercising, or exercising, eating, and sleeping for our greatest ways of experiencing the best health possible. And we all have an opportunity to do that. Now, I appreciate those of you that are watching that agree with what I have to say, but I tell people if you've seen something and a lecture, let's say, and you say, that's the greatest lecture I ever heard because I agree with everything that person says, I would submit to you that's one of the worst lectures you ever heard because you're not learning anything. When you're learning stuff, then you've had a great uh, experience. When you're just hearing things that you agree with, then it's just, it might tickle your ears, but the key is to learn. So, have you learned anything about what I said here or what I've been teaching, or do you have questions about that? Let me know. And what have you been doing? And are you suffering from an illness or not? And here I am to help you to understand uh, the simplicity of how it should work amongst the confusion of how it is working or not working in today's world. But I want to thank you all for joining me here and encourage you all to keep seeking the answers. Get your body in a position where it could experience the health it was designed to have. And to do that, eat less, don't eat late, definitely don't eat when it's dark outside. Learn to put your body in the best possible way to heal, and that is when it's nighttime. Okay, so I got a question, and that's why I do these live things. So thank you. Comment. Somebody says, I am listening, but I think early man ate by a nice fire at night. I don't know, but it's dark here around 9 p.m. Artificial electricity is what's killing man today. Electricity in our lights and in our houses is destroying us. No one should be eating at 9 p.m. ever. Ever, and I stand by that statement. No one should be eating at 9 p.m. ever. And we should be sleeping. And just as you can dim the lights in your house, there are good reasons for a fire in terms of keeping yourself warm, which I think maybe early man that after the discovery of fire might have done. But I would submit to you that the discovery of fire in terms of um, destroying food, taking it out of its natural form, was the beginning of diseases that man never suffered from before. And staying up late at night, back in the old days, they were called rich diseases of the so-called kings that had thousands of candles in their castles when no one else had lights. They had lights to stay up late at night and eat. Terrible, terrible situation. It's dark here around 9. 100%. Even in the summertime, when it's light out at nighttime, no one should be eating at 9 p.m. at night. Ever. Ever. Now we can make the case, what if somebody's working a nighttime shift and they're at work at night and they have to sleep in the day? Well, that's not a healthy thing to do, to work a nighttime shift. You know, some people are in situations where currently that's the situation they're in, so we got to make those adjustments. But eventually, we can get uh, away from that. So, fire is a great tool if we use it correctly. Uh, but if we use it incorrectly, it's a very dangerous tool. And that analogy, don't play with fire, you're going to get burned. Well, the same thing with food. Don't put your food near fire, it's going to get burned. Burnt food has now been confirmed through science to have carcinogens that cause cancer. But even cooked food itself is not the way we were designed to eat, and it just creates a need for more sleep and rest that we don't have time to get in today's fast-paced world that we live in. It slows us down, and we talked about eliminating the things that contribute to disease. Well, if we stop putting those things in our bodies, uh, that's a great start to eliminate these things. So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. We can get away. Our bodies is amazing with getting away with a lot. Somebody says, it's amazing how somebody could switch to eating more healthier diet and not and overcome things like cancer. And I say it's amazing how bad people can eat for so long and still not get cancer. So the body's amazing and can put up with a lot of abuse, but you have to work to get sick. You really have to work to get sick. And we've gotten to a place where we've accepted the simplicity of the things we do that are killing us, using a microwave oven to cook our food real fast. We literally let people, here's the thing. I have a fruit tree. I eat fruit on the tree. If I have too many people say, "What do you do with all the mangoes that you grow?" I put it in the freezer and then, maybe later on I'll eat it. And yes, the freezer is not the most natural thing, but I'm preserving my fresh food and I'm doing the best I can. And somebody will say, well, what people do is they'll pay somebody to freeze their food. Somebody else, they go to the store and they buy frozen food. Grow your own food and freeze it yourself instead of paying somebody else to freeze it. But I talk a lot about diet and living the raw food, but it's a raw life. And living as close to nature as possible is what's gonna get us healthier and stronger and eliminate those things that are contributing to your problems. I hope these questions are answered and it could help you avoid the confusion and get better. All right. I'll come back. Put your comments or questions below if you missed this live stream and you're watching it later. And I can come back and address certain of these things. Some of them I'll just type the answer in your comment, but I can come back and type certainly these things. But I highly suggest you get my book, The Daylight Diet, that I have, and check that out, The Daylight Diet. And look at the sun and the moon and think about the things I'm saying. You could learn a lot from uh, the Amish people that don't live with electricity and kind of get an idea of how they do things. And that's it. So everybody, have a great day. Please put comments and questions below. If you like these live videos, let me know and I'll do more. And remember, Sunday, very important, Sunday at 2 p.m., we're going to be doing a live stream with 96-year-old Dr. Fred Bishey answering your questions. 96-year-old Dr. Fred Bishey, who's been on a raw food diet for over 60 years. Join us Sunday live at 2 p.m. to have Dr. Bishey answer your live questions. And if you're not able to, please go over to the video that's up now. That's going to be live, and you can post the questions below if you're not able to make it Sunday at 2 p.m. and it's Eastern time, 2 p.m. Eastern time. Thank you for joining me here. You all have a great day, and remember to click on that bell so you know when I'm doing the live videos here so you can join me. Until then, everybody have a great day and a great world life.